Okay, hi everybody. Starting number 6 podcast, Larry and Al Search for Truth. Welcome to all of you that have watched this before, and hopefully we have some new guys and ladies coming on board. I just want to ask that if you like what you see and hear, then go ahead and subscribe, and that way we can notify you that we're going to be having a new broadcast. So again, it's Larry and Al Search for Truth. And starting off today's quote by Neil Gaiman is, "You can know anything. It's all there. You just have to find it." And that's kind of the basis of our search for truth. So, our last broadcast, we talked a little bit about our educational experience, our history together. And I asked you the question about if we were going to train new teachers, particularly in the alternative ed area. What are some things that we would want to share with them and give them as advice and guidance for going into the field of correctional education and alternative
Well,
education?
one of the things that they have to be able to understand is the educational model for comprehensive high school doesn't fit the model for alternative ed. In the comprehensive high school, you have students that are already primed and prepped to go forward. These students that we dealing with in alternative ed, these are the students that have fallen by the wayside and have not been nurtured the way the other students have in the comprehensive high school setting. So we have to set up in a mindset for a teacher who has never had that experience about how to deal with this type of student in alternative ed, and also how to modify expectations.
Yeah.
Okay, because we may have a college prep student in alternative ed. We might have a special ed student in alternative ed. We might have a low achiever in alternative ed. So we have to be able to modify the program to those individuals, and as well as infuse self-esteem. But as the educator, you're the one that's going to have to be able to set this up, and you have to rearrange your mindset. Okay, from dealing with kids who are self starters and high achievers. You got what I'm saying?
Right.
So they would have to be able to go through a mental process of change.
Well, you
And,
know what
and
I
it
when I
is,
hear that when I hear
uh-huh.
that I see the problem is that our, like you said, they use the model as a regular comprehensive school system, and it doesn't fit our students because most of those our students come from a place of usually failure, or they've been asked to leave or they've been removed. But our educational training system, our universities and our educational training doesn't really know how to teach teachers how to teach alternative. So you come out of a college, a teacher college, for example, and you get hired in the correctional ed, and you think you're going to teach the way that you were taught to teach, and maybe the way you even learned how to in your experience. So how do you get these teachers and educators and administrators and everybody within the system to really understand what they're dealing with and working with?
Well, it's hard to change the system. Okay, they have to de-learn what they learn. You got what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Okay, for myself, I was a low achiever in high school. I was a knucklehead, so I understood what a knucklehead does in high school. I
Yeah,
was the guy. I was the guy that's sitting in the back of the room throwing spit wads.
yeah,
Okay, okay, and the teacher's telling me you're wasting your talents. You need to buckle down And it wasn't until I started the 12th grade that I realized that, wait a minute, I've been wasting 2 years of high school being a clown. You got what I'm saying?
What did the teacher see in you? Why do you think the
Well,
teacher said you're wasting your talents? Well, how did they know that you had talents?
well, because it showed up in spurts. You got what I'm saying?
Hmm.
When I needed to do the academic part so that I would be eligible to play football or
Yeah.
baseball or basketball, whatever, I would buckle down. Okay, but once I completed that task, then I would go back to lollygagging. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so it wasn't until I got to the 12th grade that I said, wait a minute, I'm gonna, hey, I need to complete this year in order for me to graduate. I mean, I barely got out of high school, man. If it
Hmm.
wasn't for Mr. Catalina giving me a D minus 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 in general math, I wouldn't have graduated from high school.
Right.
You got what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So that was my first lesson in understanding how you nurture a student. Remember when I was talking about one of the podcasts we were talking about how sometimes the kids that are in Little League are not rewarded at the time they should be rewarded.
Yeah, you told that
Okay,
story. Yeah.
so Mr. Catalina gave me he gave me an opportunity to go forward. So what I always had in my mind when I'm dealing with students, I always kept that in my mind is that, okay, even if a student is failing, okay, how do I modify that so that he can be successful and still be able to move on? Okay, and it's not something that you verbalize, but it's like actions speaks more louder than words speak. You got what I'm saying? Think about you. You remember that student we had at 17th Street, just around about the time we were gonna close down, and we used to give him the elementary school books and stuff like that because he would go home and tutor his little brothers and sisters.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, because they couldn't leave that fort that the 2 blocks where they lived at because of gang thing.
Hmm.
Okay, they couldn't even go to the park.
Hmm.
So we gave, he would say, well, why you gonna give a guy? So he went home and he tutored his little brothers and sisters.
Hmm.
Okay, that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. That's outside the box. Okay, that's not
Right.
inside the box. You got what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I think
That's
too. I think a lot of it for me it was humility. I become humble, because
yeah,
you think you know something, and then you actually get out there and into the community, and you meet these students at where they're at.
right.
You realize that you got a lot to learn from
Hmm.
them sometimes,
Well, yes. I
how
mean,
best to treat them. But you have to have a willingness to do that, a flexibility and adaptability, and be willing to kind of challenge yourself that maybe what you're doing isn't really working, and how
well,
can you change it to working?
one of the things I think that we both did well, we paid attention to the students, and we let them guide us down the path that they wanted to go. You know what
We
I'm
were
saying?
willing to listen to them and see what they
Yes,
want, what their dreams were, what they
yes.
wanted to do, and maybe they weren't on base, but we would say, okay, well let's check that out and let's pursue that. Let's
Always kept an
explore more.
open mind. I
Yeah,
think that's the most important thing. I think is you have to have an open mind.
right.
Okay, because think about this, Larry. I mean, I don't, I'm not going to throw out a bunch of numbers, but we touch bases with a variety and a multitude of young men and women.
Hmm.
Okay, I mean, we're talking about. Just think about the idea that a kid said, "Well, I got to go to work, but I won't be able to go to class. I won't be able to turn my homework in. I'm gonna FedEx to you." Okay, what do you
Yeah.
say? Don't FedEx to me,
Uh-huh.
or,
Uh-huh.
or the kid says, I'm on my way to work. Can you meet me at McDonald's at 6:30 in the morning?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
those are the kind of things that you have to be able to do. Or I get off work at 6 o'clock. Can you meet me at 7 o'clock in the evening to give you my homework?
Right.
Okay, so
They were buying in. They
okay,
were
okay,
understanding the importance of it.
okay. If they buy in, what do we have to do?
Well, we definitely have to meet them.
We have to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we have to, because if the worst thing that I think of, and I think you've seen, is when you get to the point where an administrator says, "Oh no, we can't do that," and I'm saying, you can't do that. Why? Well, it's against the rules and regulations, or it's against the policy. And I'm saying to myself, but what is it that we're dealing with? We're dealing with children, okay? And
Right.
and 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 and, and as a parent, and I'm pretty sure you do the same thing, is that whenever I promised my children we were going to do something, okay, we did it. Okay, there was no, daddy can't do it today. Daddy can no. Whether I had worked overtime or whatever I had to do. If I said I was going to take my children somewhere, that's what I did, and that's the same approach I had with our students.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
because the only currency you have is how you treat the individual.
Yeah.
Okay,
I always kind of kept in the back of my mind that I wanted to be the kind of teacher or educator that if my kids were in my class, I would want them, their teachers to be able to treat them with the same respect that I was trying to attempt to teach my students. And
right, right, right,
any of my other peers or whatever,
right.
I would want them to treat like every one of those kids were my own personal kids, and they got that same treatment, that same care and concern. And even though, like I said, and you've said, these kids come from some pretty tough backgrounds, and some of them have gotten involved in things that a lot of people would be frown upon or whatever, but they're still kids. They're still
That's,
young
that,
people.
see what you said, Larry. They're still kids. They're still children.
Right.
Okay,
You
even
can't
though they
never
may.
lose sight of
Okay,
that.
okay, even though they have bigger bodies than the little
Hmm.
bitties. You see what I'm saying?
Hmm.
They're still children.
Right.
Okay, they haven't reached that point of consent in society. They haven't reached adulthood, even though they may act like they are adults or whatever. But
Right.
they don't get the negative part of the adult situation. You got what I'm saying? Because if you're an adult,
Going back to what you were saying about with yourself, and how it finally dawned on you that you needed to quit acting out and get serious
yeah,
and do what you needed to do. And that's a sign of maturity. It's a level of maturity. And that's where I think too, if you say you get these kids to begin to realize that this is important for them, and
right,
you do see that maturation take place, and that's when they start making decisions like, I can't be there today, but here I'm going to FedEx my homework to you, or I'm going to have somebody bring it in, and they
right.
realize them it seems like a small thing, but that's an act of maturation and a seriousness that of to what it is they're doing and the seriousness that they're taking it.
Well, you remember when I went to the facility and you went to juvenile hall, right?
Right.
So what I found out that we could resurrect students up to the age of, I think it was 23,
Mm-hmm.
and they could come back and get their high school diplomas.
Right.
And so what I did was I did a split shift. I get there at 6:30 in the morning, run my regular program, and
Mm-hmm.
then I would hang around, and then I'd open up again I go from 4 to 7. So I'd be there for the students to get out when they got off work to come in and do it that way. And it's a process of understanding. A lot of people say, well, they don't, they didn't do whatever they did before. But these are teen moms, dads that have children, trying to go to work and because one of the things that we did say, and think about this, the high school diploma is the first ticket on the train in life.
Right.
Okay, and a lot of kids said, well, I got a job, but I can't go any further, and I don't even have a high school diploma. I got lucky, I got a job. But see, this is the mindset that I'm talking about in terms of alternative ed. You have to be able to meet the student where the student is at.
Yeah, because they're
Okay.
coming with so much issues and problems and
Oh, they
difficulties
get
and
destroyed.
challenges that we most
Oh
of us can't even
man.
imagine what it's like. And
Okay,
we
you
did
think
get to
about a
see that.
kid. You think about a kid that's the oldest kid in the family. The parents got to get up in the morning, go to work, and he might have 3 or 4 siblings, and he's got to be able to, or he or she has to be able to feed them breakfast, get them off to school, get to school, get back home, get them back home, snack them up, and do homework before the parents come home from work.
Right.
See, these are realistic things. I mean, I I'm not the one that can say, well, that's not the way it should be, but that's the way it really is.
Right.
Okay, okay.
Right.
The kid out in Irvine, he's got breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and 2 cots at the house. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, because a lot of these people, large families, live in the size of a room. I mean,
Oh
the
yes,
size of an apartment or whatever.
yes,
That's the size of your living room, just your
yeah,
living room. And
yeah,
there's large groups of people, all sleeping together and eating together and living. And the challenges, and they still would make it to school. And I always felt like if my kids did half, or if I did half as good in school as these kids, if I came from the same circumstances, it'd be a miracle. And
yeah,
and
yeah.
that's the thing.
And,
It
and, and,
was a
and, and,
miracle.
and this is one of the reasons why. Remember, what I used to do every Monday. We used to do my weekend.
Yeah.
Okay, and the reason was twofold. Okay, uh, Kim, we're doing a podcast. Kim, can I call you right back? Bye. And the reason why I did that twofold is one, practicing writing prompts. One, but number two, instead of asking a kid these kind of personal questions, they wrote it down for us. You know what I'm saying? What
Mhm.
did I do this last weekend? What did you do the weekend? Oh man, I went to a party. I did this, that. I met a girl. I did this, that, and the other. Or my family went over here and we went to our cousin's house, and we stayed the weekend and ate some good food. And so what it did was give us an insight on the individual. Or they would say, I had a rough weekend. We didn't. Something happened. My one of my aunts passed away, or something like that. So you would have an idea on that day, Monday, of where that kid is at. Okay, if
Mhm.
he had a good weekend or a bad weekend, so you would be able to adjust how you interacted with that student. You got what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. If he had a rough weekend and he has some issues, well then I would I kind of back off, just stay on the light side. You know what I'm saying? If he was doing something that was not something he should be doing, I just say, hey, kind of watch that, okay? You know what I'm saying? Instead of
Right.
coming full frontal. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Sometimes you had to take pause and realize that, like you said, there maybe something's going on, some
Yeah,
serious stuff,
yeah.
and school might be the least of
At least
the
for that
concerns.
particular day,
Right.
they're
That
not
even
worried
that
about.
particular day.
Yeah,
Exactly.
they're
Exactly.
not worried about stuff, and they're just trying to make it through the day. without getting jammed up against the wall. You know what I'm saying? Because I've
Mhm.
seen too many situations where a lot of teachers in our system would go DEFCON Charlie, man. Wait a
Mhm.
minute. And they go DEFCON Charlie in 5 seconds if a kid showed them disrespect. You got what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, people used to say, well, these kids talk to you like this and that, Mr. Steele. And I said, yeah, sometimes that's the way they're venting. They're venting, okay? It didn't hurt me. It didn't hurt me. But after the situation, and when the kid calmed down, we had a conversation. I said, well, what's going on? I mean, this is not, you don't usually talk to me this way. Is there something happening that's
Right.
going on with you?
Taking
You
time to,
know,
to
because
listen.
okay, this is the part about when I talked about being fair, honest, and consistent. Because the honest part about it is I can book you. You know what I mean? You know what we do when we say book, we write you up.
Mhm.
Okay, and I can write you up and and make it difficult for you. That's why people always just say, "Why didn't I write kids up?" Because I said once you put pen to paper, okay, the people who see that don't really see what you were writing about. All they see is what you wrote.
Ah, good point. Yeah.
You got what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's a difference here. Yep.
Okay. So one of the things I used to do is that when the new students came in, I had a 48-hour rule. I didn't read no comments in the folder for 48 hours.
Right.
Okay? Because come on now, a human, I mean, adult ego is tremendous, and sometimes we do harm by writing the documentation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
A lot of
because
times people would ask me, what do some of these kids do? And I would generalize, but I was like you. I never really looked in the file unless I felt like was relevant to what was going on at that moment, and maybe I need to know a little more. But otherwise, I wasn't looking into what they were there for. I was just meeting them at the moment and saying, okay, you're here, and these are the credits you need, or these are the classes you need, or this is
right.
what you need to do, and that's what I'm going to concern myself with. I'm not worried about your past. I'm not worried about what you may or may not have done, and let's see what we can do to kind of help you along your way.
And kids was pay attention to this, Larry. Remember, I used to tell you they used to. We had 30 we'd have 30 or 40 in the room, and I say there's 80 eyes watching us. You got what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
right,
Okay.
right.
So what I was, what the kids would say, well, aren't you gonna read my folder? I said, no. Why should I read your folder? I said, right now, I'm trying to get to know you and see who you are.
Hmm.
Okay. I need to judge you on this situation, not what's in your folder.
Yeah,
Okay, because a lot of times, like I said, a lot of times those poor kids got pencil whooped.
yeah. Pencil whooped. Yeah, good point.
oh,
Yeah.
oh Lord have mercy! I would read some of those eloquent incident reports, and I'm saying, who is this monster? Okay,
Right.
and I'm thinking, what? Okay,
Yeah.
because when I would write a kid up, if there was an altercation or a situation between two individuals, I make sure that I documented that so we could be aware of that. Okay,
Hmm.
with the
Hmm.
gang situation, stuff like that. But just the everyday kind of stuff. Hey, sometimes you wake up on the wrong side of the bed and maybe you didn't get your cup of coffee.
Hmm. 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 Yeah.
Okay,
Hmm.
or maybe you got to remember these young folks. We were married, but these young folks would have boyfriends and girlfriends, and someday they might have got that bad news. I don't want to be with you no more. Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Right. Right.
okay, okay.
I mean, like you said, it was a myriad of issues that they were contending with, and if we could get them to class and we could get them to sit down and do some reading and writing and doing math or whatever, preparing for the Casey, that was a successful day. And I guess so, going back to the whole thing, I mean, the points that we're making about how to teach teachers and educators and administrators, like you said, the administrators are one level of removed from the kids, and maybe they need to be reschooled on what's going on too.
Well, let me ask you a question, Larry. This cast is coming to a close.
Right.
What do you want to continue this conversation on our next podcast?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of, like to go back to the title of our podcast, Search for Truth,
Okay.
and kind of looking at the word search and inquire, to look for. And just
Hmm.
like in our quote today, you can know anything. It's all there. That's true.
Yeah.
You just have to find it. Well, the only way you're going to find it is to search it. And you have to search yourself.
Right.
You have to search your own soul, your own mind, your own heart, and really see what's there. Because we might just assume we know what's there, but a lot of times,
Well,
we're not sure. We may be confused.
you know what assume means, don't you? Make an ass out of me and you.
Yeah, yeah. I had never heard that before, but right
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Exactly. Assume.
And I think I think we can do that. Okay. um, and I just
Kind
want to
of
say,
a challenge to our listeners, our
mhm,
potential subscribers, to search themselves, because really that's what we're doing.
yeah,
Like you said, we've talked many times off camera, so to speak, about what we're doing, and we're just kind of searching ourselves
yeah,
and questioning and wondering and inquiring, and that's what life should be about, is not just be steadfast in what our beliefs are, but sometimes we have to challenge our beliefs, and if we
yeah,
believe
yeah.
something doesn't make it true, doesn't make it the
Well,
truth.
well, think about this, Larry. The one thing that happens is that people are uncomfortable out of their comfort zone,
Yeah.
and that's a think about this. And when I started teaching in the juvenile court schools after being in probation, and I said, "Well, what is it I'm going to do?" But I still remember there's certain things that you have to do. You have to control the environment first, then you have to be able to have your standards. And always, my standard was doing things the right way, no cheating, no copying off anybody else. Do your own work,
Hmm.
okay? And I made when I assigned things, I made sure that I understood the kids that were able to do a certain level of work, and then there was other kids that couldn't do it, so I would modify the assignment. But
Right.
everybody was doing assignment in that direction. You got what
Hmm.
I'm saying?
Hmm. Hmm.
Well, Larry, I guess it's time for us to close out.
Okay. Well, I would just say this to all the listeners and the people that view this podcast is, if they have a question or if they have something they want to add, throw a comment in there. Maybe we could respond to that comment, and we could try to make it maybe more personal for people if that's what they would want. So I would leave it at that.
Yeah, we just taking baby steps.
Baby steps, baby steps. All right, fist bump, man.
Hi, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Easy does it.
Okay.
Over and out.
Over
Hopefully,
and out.
hopefully Elijah's not sleeping at the wheel. He shut us down. Shut us down, baby. Shut us down. Hey, cut it.
Yeah.
Cut.
Uh,
Those of you that are out there listening, subscribe to our page so that you can get the notifications of when we're going to record again.